Welcome to Shadows of Dawn.
So, welcome guys for Shadows of Dawn. This is the dungeon build for Group A's second mission, Trouble Under the City. So, we're going to walk through a dungeon build. You can see how I build it. I'll talk through it. This is a different type of mission. So, in this module or adventure or session, whatever you want to call it, the party has decided, if you watched last week's stream, they were deciding on which path to take. They're going to be approached by some NPCs and have multiple paths. Well, they've chosen to go help Glissandel with a problem of there's a river that goes under the city. Glissandel's in the mountains, and the river that goes under city helps with trade and barges and stuff, and some barges are being attacked. So they hired Adventurers Anonymous, which is a guild, to try and find some people to take care of it because their militia just was not capable of doing the job. They sent a couple of people and they went missing. So they've hired Adventurers Anonymous to take care of it. So the party's accepted the mission. They're going to have to travel under the city and find out what the trouble is. So let's just take a quick look at the map. Here we go on a screen share. So it's a very simple map. These guys are level 2. What we basically have is we kind of have like an underground layer that was once built, and kind of the story behind it is it's been sealed away and hidden and blocked off for a long time until, some monster activity accidentally opened kind of like the lead tunnel. It's like it was sealed up for some reason way back when. So this is what we're going to build. So let's just jump in and go over to the table and start building. All right, I gotta swing my monitor around a little bit so I can definitely keep you guys updated. All right, hi-ho. So, kind of down at the end of the table, if I pivot my camera here a little bit, I've created kind of the water line, where I want the water line to go. So, if I'm putting the map next to it, this is kind of where I want my entrance to be, and so I've kind of marked it off. So a helpful tip whenever you're kind of building something out, you always kind of want to know your width. So what I did is I went ahead and I used these little markers, just a little bitty marker. There's one there, and then there's one way down there to kind of mark off the width of this dungeon so I know it'll fit on the table. Just kind of counting the width. Basically it's 165 feet wide, and I got plenty of depth. And the water line needs to be, it's not very wide, the river that runs under the city. So I kind of have that marked out, and I'll kind of show you how to put this together. So the first thing I did is I want to make sure my entrance is going to be at the right spot. So I go ahead and I look at my mark, which I made, my little bitty mark, and I kind of counted over the number of squares from the farthest width to the entrance. And so I kind of started there. And so that's basically where I'm going to start this bad boy. Is I'm going to start that there. I know I'm kind of like at the very end of the table, and I usually work in the middle, so we'll see how this works out. But yeah, so I did create a weird square. So when you create your maps, sometimes you're using map generators, and they create kind of weird shapes. Don't ever be afraid to just break that rule. And I'm going to do it right off the bat. We have a square room, we have the entrance and the exit, which are kind of in the middle of the walls. So I use a lot of Dwarven Forge. You'll see me use tons of Dwarven Forge because we got in on it so early. But I'll just grab my 4 squares, and I'm basically going to count the width of the room, which is about, let's see, that's 10, 20, 30, it's about 40 wide, right? So I know I'm going to need 2 walls, and I'm going to need a center opening. Well, if you know Dwarven Forge, you know that the center openings don't ever line up like straight in the middle, right? Unless you're using something. So these are the narrow corridor pieces that I'm using, and they're kind of cool because they only allow for one person to stand. It's not a double wide. However, the brick in and of itself is 10 foot wide. Just one of those little things you'll deal with as a builder, which is fine. What I'm going to basically do is just kind of offset this room a little bit, and I'm going to keep it square. That way, instead of kind of being the diagonal shape that the generation thing came up with, I'm just going to keep it square. Because you know what? The party will never know. Well, they will when they watch the video. But other than that, they'll never know. They would have never known, and they'll only watch the video after the fact. So there we go. 40-foot square room is going to start taking shape. And let me move my camera around here. And back you up a bit. Well, I got to really back you up. There we go. I want everybody to be able to see and be able to kind of see this at the same time. You can see me on the camera. Not that I'm all that great to look at, but that's okay. It's not what I get paid for. So yeah, we're just basically going to build a little 40-foot square room. And since the idea behind this module is the fact that, this was some kind of, we're not going to say it was a dungeon per se, but it was a built-out encampment. So that's why we're not using cave tiles here. We want them to understand that this was worked stone. Ergo, we're using the Dwarvenite dungeon pieces because it's worked stone. Some of the things they have the cool doors. And if you know Dwarven Forge, you know there's basically two types of doors that they have, which come in really handy, and you kind of have to know the difference. If you look at them from afar, you can't really tell the difference. But if I put them up under the camera, you can see how one is a little bit narrower than the other. And that's basically because of the way the shapes you build your Dwarven Forge. The way the bricks will line up sometimes, it leaves a very small gap. So for example, this little guy, he doesn't quite fit in there, but you'll get into some certain situations, and maybe we will, where I'll show you where you use that guy. But right now the standard, I don't even know if I want to call it 10 wide, because technically it's not a full 10 wide, is the one that's going to fit in there. And so the first thing we'll do is we're just going to drop in some tiles. There we go. The whole idea behind the first, just layout is we just want to get the basic layout going, right? So now we're going to follow hallways. So I have 5-foot hallways, and I do have the narrow passage set, which is down here, which is great because they're 10 wide, but they are single file. And so, but each brick is 10 foot long, so it's like a 5 by 10. So I go up 2 bricks, and then I come to a door. Well, the nice thing about narrow passages is they create their own little doors that actually fit within the narrow passage, just like so. They're a little rickety. They're not super stable. I think they could have done a little bit better job. If anybody's working at Dwarven Forge, In a way, I could use one of these. I could probably squeeze one of these in there, but just for argument's sake, I'm going to go ahead and use the narrow passage door because they absolutely do fit. Actually, this door is being a little janky. There we go, but I got it. They don't block off the whole corridor, kind of like you would want it. And in fact, if you kind of look, you notice another little discrepancy, right? So this is 10/20, and I guess if I look at it, and I want to keep things in line, I probably should have used a curve right there, even though the curve kind of takes into account the 20. And that's okay. Like I said, a lot of this, you have to modify as a DM on the fly. Because if you pre-generate a map, and don't get me wrong, pre-generating maps not technically cheating. This is an idea to get you going. And if you're going to build, this is, you want something to build from. So we have a corridor. It's going to split and go down into It's going to split again, and it splits really quick. And it's kind of nice because they do have these kind of split pieces. Here's one right here that work together. All right, so these two kind of pieces, if you want to look down on it even a little bit better, I should probably tilt this camera down just a tad to give definitely more of an overhead look. Let's do that. So see how the pieces kind of work? So one kind of, it's like a T section because we want that to continue to go straight. And we want the other one to hook into a corner, which will basically, one of them goes into a dead end. Surprise, surprise, there's a secret door. Who would have thought? And let's see, we want to take that corridor. It's 10, 20, it's 30. So 10, 20, 30. That's what we're going to count it. And the other one also comes to an end, but that one goes to, it's an archway. So it's just an opening. And this opening, in fact, is going to have a trap in it, which is why I went ahead and made my annotation of a trap. Tricky, tricky. So if they were to go to the secret door, there's no trap. If they go the open way, trap. So we have another square room, and a quick look at the room tells us that there are 4 corners, but we're playing with the secret door. So we're definitely going to need 3 corners. The question then becomes, how much do you want to give your PCs kind of a hint there's a secret door, right? So if any of you have the old Dwarven Forge, there's this really cool secret door piece. It kind of looks like a wall. And if they're not paying really close attention, believe me, you can even trick players just by putting this on the map. They won't look at it super close because they'll be looking at it from a distance sometimes. And so you can just kind of drop it in there. The only kind of giveaway is it's hard to make that back corner. So you would have to kind of do something funky, and now it really kind of gives it away. So kind of what we'll do in the interim is we're going to go ahead and just use a normal corner, and we'll keep this handy so that if they find the secret door, we'll just swap out the piece and make it look cool. So our room here is 10, 20, 35 wide. Once again, you kind of run into that odd little problem of how do you make a 35 wide room with 10-foot pieces? Well, you don't. Don't fight it. Don't ever fight it. Just roll with it and make it 40. Like I said, maps. Probably the biggest advice I give anybody is don't get caught up in the minutia of pre-generated maps. So instead of 35, we're just going to make it 40. Easy peasy. And we go long. So 10, 20, 30, 45 long. Well, we know we have only a certain amount of width, so instead of 45 long, we're just going to keep this one to 40. It's not really that vital, so we'll just keep a 40 by 40 room. So 10, 20, 30, and 40. So kind of start building in that direction. There we go. So you can kind of see where we're going with this. We're building room number 2 right now. So room number 2, we keep it at 40 feet. Then we need to come up along the wall. And we're going to come up just a little bit to a door. So let's go ahead and put our door in there. 20, 30, and we'll box it off at 40. We'll fill in the ground. And always keep your pieces super handy and close so you don't have to go walking all over your game room for wherever you store these things. And it's a normal 10 wide door, so I'm going to put the door there. Put those guys in. There we go. 40. We had a door here. So we have a door there, so let's just take that out, replace him with another 10 wide door. So let's go ahead and complete our width, just to make sure that our width is going to work for us. So let's back that up just a bit. So I gotta go kind of a funky hall to build room 5. So room 5 is 10, 20, 30, 5 wide. Hey, once again, 35. Apparently this pre-map generator loved 5-foot extra 5-foot walls. And sometimes they do. So instead, what's nice, or something to keep in mind, is I made that little marker over there, right? That's supposed to be the maximum width of this room. So that's what I'm actually just going to use to start. So I'm going to make a 40-foot wide room. And since I've now done this a couple of times, I know I need, 4 little tiles that go in the center of the room. So we're going to drop 2, 3, 4. Kind of drop those there. We're going to finish walling off this room. I'm going to leave just 1 tile for a door. So we need 1 flat piece. Then we need the corners. There we go. And leave 1 for a door. Leave 1 for a wall. There we go. That basically gives us kind of a target to build towards, right? So now we're going to build towards that target with kind of the janky corridor that it's looking for. So now I need 2 doors. I already have one extra. Door, and if I have the narrow passage pieces, which I might here, I know I'm going to need a 90-degree turn in here somewhere. And I think I have it lined up to where I need 2. All right, so looks like I had that one pretty high. So is that showing up on the map? Yeah, it's showing up on the map. You can see that. If I can raise this a little bit higher, a little more view for you. There we go. Move that up here. You see I'm trying to connect those 2 rooms. And I'm trying to connect them via a little janky corridor. So just kind of some straight pieces. Looks like it's a really quick turn that it had there, right? So if I'm trying to be super accurate, I have a 90-degree turn. And do I have another 90-degree turn? So you start testing the limit of your pieces. And it's okay if we don't, because we will figure something out like we always do. So in fact, it does not look like I have another pre-built little 90-degree turn. I have a T section. A 4-way. Nope, looks like we've hit the limit. All right, so what do? Well, we go ahead and use the T section. Let's go ahead and use that. And let's go ahead and we'll finish it off. Looks like I went a little too far. So, janky 90. There we go. And what we'll do is we will now go back and square up that whole thing. So I got to walk off camera just a little bit. As you can see my hands, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take all this collectively and push it up 1 square. Back there, it's off by 1, not a big deal. Never sweat the small stuff. So what we'll do here instead is we're just basically going to create debris. It'll be a collapse. So we've collapsed in that little wall section or something, and I have some little debris-like pieces that we can basically use to signify it's a collapse. It's in fact, what we can even do is we can use a dead end section. You know what? Sometimes your second idea is always better. We'll just use a dead end. There you go. Goes nowhere. Don't even have to use. We'll save the debris for other clutter that we're going to have to put in here. And then somebody on the thing was like, just use a dead end. I know. And it's like, yeah, you thought of it before I did. But you know what? It's okay. And so I was the smartest GM out here on the planet. Just probably do so many things that get confused in my old age. Who knows? Okay, well, if you're like me, you probably just suddenly realized that, holy crap, you didn't make room 3. And I didn't. I did not make room 3, which is probably why that was so long. So it's like, dope. And you know what? We all do this, so it's a good thing I got it on camera. But at least that was a little bit of a learning process. You can kind of see how some of that is done. But we're gonna let's make room 3. And let's try not to screw this up again. So room 3, all this is really gonna do is this is just going to probably push this over maybe just a tad. It's gonna end there. And room 3 is right up next to room 2. So you can do a thin wall or you can do a thick wall, right? So doing a thin wall just uses the wall that you already built, and you'll use the L shapes instead of the corner pieces. All right, so the L shape really just now has to continue the next room, right? And you'll use the flat pieces to kind of protrude the room. I will need a corner piece because room 3 does go a little bit more south. It's 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 feet. So it is a little longer, same height, but not the same width, or the length, however you want to call it. So it is technically a little bit bigger of a room. And it's 10, 20, 30. So this one's 35 feet, so because of the width, we're going to make this one shorter. We're going to go ahead and make this one only 30 feet wide. That way it's going to match up with the rest of the dungeon, what we did over there. And since we're doing that, we get to use those walls as well, right? So this dungeon is, this area under the city is super tightly packed, which is fine. Excavators don't always have to build out ad infinitum. So there we go. Problem solved. Huzzah. Super tightly packed. And don't really sweat the little bitty corners. You can probably get some PC that's like, I'm looking for a secret door right there. It's like, okay, roll it. Just because they roll it doesn't mean it has to be there. All right, and as we look at 3, you can see the map. There's a door, and had it in this very corner, so we'll just take that out. Replace that with a flat piece. Move that up here, and we'll install the door right there. So no matter which door they choose, let's see, they both go into room 4. So room 4 is 10, 20, 30, 40. But I got tons of room to play with on room 4. So room 4 is pretty big comparatively. So I'll go ahead and make that one 50 wide. And I am using the corner. So let's go ahead and let's move this camera over here. Don't get hooked, don't fall, don't detach. Zip, zip, zip. Sometimes these cameras can be fickle, especially if you have them connected with USB cables together. We're going to go ahead and borrow the wall that we're already using, so we're going to need a lot of these little flat pieces. So 10, 20, 30, 40, and I said 50. There we go. There we go. Nicely packed in. Now it does use, I mean, these are using these little 5-foot corridors, so if you wanted to use those little 5-foot corridors, we can. In fact, let's go ahead and do it. I'll show you how to do this. So instead of 5 foot, we'll make it 10, because these things work easier in a 10. The nice thing is we still have those narrow passage pieces, right? So really, we're just going to put one there, and we're going to put one there. But this will change up how you build. You know, your back wall is now going to need L shapes instead of just being able to use flat pieces. And then once again, it's like, even though the map is basically saying the door is in the center of that little hall, just pick a side. It really doesn't matter. But for building sake, I would always pick the same side of the doors, right? So I wouldn't have one door here and one door here. I mean, you could if you really wanted to. It's kind of strange architecture, but you got to remember they're coming from this way, right? So if you don't want to if you're trying to keep it a balanced effect, they don't see this. So if they both look in these two rooms, then they're going to see the door here. If they see one here and they see one here, you could get stuck in about a 15-minute discussion of them trying to reason out why one door is where and one door is not. It happens. And if you're on one of my players, don't laugh and say it doesn't happen, because it does. It's one of the things as a DM. You could just do something very simply, and they find like something within something that you've done, and it can go nuts. So we're going to go ahead and make this room, we're going to make it 50, just because I want to use more of my table than anything. So we're going to make this one 50, and just make it a little bit bigger room than what the map called for, because the map here, location 4, was calling for like a 40 by 40 room, roughly. So yeah, let's fill this guy out. So this will be 50 by 50. Nice big room. And we have a door, and our door is basically saying to put it on that edge, but we're not. As a DM, we're going to deviate just a little bit, and I'll show you why. Because sometimes just utilizing your table space is a better idea, right? You have 6 players, or I have 6 players around the table, however many players you have around the table. You kind of want, if possible, and sometimes it's not possible, you want your action to be kind of in front of your players. You want them to all kind of have a little bit of a turn. And I'm not saying design your dungeon that way, but I think it's a good idea in general. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put this one off of this location instead of off to the west side. It's going to be kind of off to the north side, so that I can run this branch 6 over here, which I kind of had with a secret door going that way. I'm just going to run it that way, so the player's kind of at the end of the table. Oh, and that was a secret door, so I had a secret door. So let's go ahead and just leave that in there. And what we want to do is we want to save one of these pieces and just kind of keep it aside. I only own one of these little secret doors, so I don't own 2. So these are like pieces we're going to set aside, because we'll replace pieces with those pieces later. And actually, the other secret door is an L, so I don't even need that one. I need an L, and I need a secret door. So that secret door is another little jaunt. And sometimes what you don't want to do is you may not want to put that right up next to it like that, because if you're trying to use like a fog of war, you might want to just take this piece out. But for building purposes, I'm going to go ahead and leave it there, so that when I build this next room, the next room is accurate into size. At least this wall. Right? So this wall, 10, 20, 30, 40, it's 40. So it's not a big room. So we're just going to do that, right? And now that I kind of have the structure, I'm going to take this out. When they find the secret door, I'll replace it with a floor piece and this piece, which I'll just kind of set in here to show them that the 2 rooms connect. So we'll leave those off to the side. This room is an enclosed room. And this room, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but I can kind of show you. Let me show you on the screen, on the monitor. This room, if I share the screen, you see room 6 up there? Room 6 up there has this little hole, right? And so what this is a little hole in the ground. So we're going to make a hole in the ground for them to go through. So let's get back over to the table. So we've got a hole in the ground. So let's go ahead and get the walls set up. And there's all sorts of ways to do this. And some people build multi-tiered dungeons, which are really awesome if you have the vertical capability. But in this one, there's only one little room that's below. And while I could make these on plexiglass and rise them up, and it'll definitely be very cool, that is a lot of work. And trust me, this is already a lot of work. So the hole is obvious. So I'm going to need 3 of these. I need an opening. So there's all sorts of things you can do for a hole. One of the easiest that I've found is you can just use a black piece of paper and just put it under the, just put that black piece of paper underneath the bottom. Actually super simple if I can find a black piece of paper. The other one is they do have, there's just these little square cutouts, right? Sometimes it's tile on one side, they're flat. These are old school. That's the old school little flat. And so I just take the old school little flat and just drop it in there. All right, which you kind of look down on it. It's even shaded like a hole, which is perfect. Definitely what we're going for, right? So if this were all connected, this would be here. You would remove that. You would have this, right? So if they found the secret door, that's kind of how it would look, right? So that's what I meant by removing pieces. So I'm going to save those guys. And what you can do is sometimes I'll just take this piece, since this will be covered, I'm just going to set it right there so that I know it's, I know it's right there ready to go whenever they find that, and I can just quickly replace. Or heck, I can even tell the players to quickly replace. It's even better. So this hole goes down to another room. It goes to room 7, which will have a hole in the ceiling. And obviously, I don't think you need to make a full 3-dimensional room with a hole in the ceiling. So this room becomes rather easy as just a same basically size room, same 40 by 40 room. So again, for player interaction's sake, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make it, if you can see me on the table, I'm going to make it over here in this quadrant, right? So the players who sit over here, will now have something to kind of see, right? These players at the end are going to be able to see a lot of the opening. The players in the middle are pretty much always engaged. It's the players on the ends. Where are you going to start from? And like the first session, if you watch the first session, I started on this end. So the players here were kind of engaged and going this way. This way, I want the players this way to be engaged. But I don't want to leave these guys out. So we're going to move that. Let me move this out of the way. I don't need narrow passages anymore. And this is also the climactic room. So this is where the BBEG is. Actually, it's not that much of a BB. They're level 2, right? But this is like their tough fight. So in the module, there's some water that kind of trickles through here, and it's kind of like how do I want to say? It'll make this a little difficult terrain for them to fight in. And there's a couple of ways to do this. I could use the dungeon tiles, which would work just fine. But I also do have some of these water tiles that D&D Beyond came out with a while back. It was a water set. And so maybe I'll fuse some of these into it, at least into the middle, to basically see how it works out, right? As we know, if it doesn't seem to work out, well, just do something else, and that's perfectly fine. The trick here is the walls kind of need to be away. Well, it's fine, right? This thing is all going to be covered up kind of like on its own, so I don't even have to use interiors, right? I can build with exteriors. Forgot those. I want to use those because those are my secret doors, right? So what I mean is you need 4 to a side, right? And I'm just going to build it where the interiors, because what it looks like on the outside doesn't really matter anymore, right? So I'm basically building a hollow space. Now if I want, I could throw something blue underneath it, right? So like I have some blue transparency that I could put over top, and that would actually give it a little bit of a water look. Let's see if I can find my blue transparencies. I know I have them somewhere. It says red transparency.
lava. Transparencies are cool because seldom used, but really cool effects when you do use them. Hey, I got blue. You do have some blue.
Uh-huh. This is kind of what it would look like. Now, it's almost the perfect size, too. Look at that. Perfect size transparency, right? So if I use a blue transparency, really, then I'm just kind of laying these all on top. And I'm letting the Mats by Mars, by the way, letting Mats by Mars do kind of the work to kind of give that transparent effect of water. Right now, there's a pretty hard light. I try not to look at the light, but you can kind of see like a little transparent effect that you're kind of getting. So if you have Alexa, you can tell Alexa, set the lights to dungeon. And so kind of gets rid of the harshness. It's kind of hard to see, but there's definitely a little more of a green effect on my dungeon setting. The overhead lights kind of go into an orange green. Alexa, set the lights to day. Don't want to work in the dark. Now, let's see. So this is what, if I were to do this way, because I want the water to be up to the walls, right? And so now I'm actually really using the Mat by Mars tiles. I'm counting the spaces on Mats by Mars and lining these up so that they'll actually be utilizing the table spaces. So 10, 20, 30, 40. Guys are just on the outside here. That gives a full 40. Let's see. The trick with these are, since they're not really meant to be inverted, it's kind of skewed just a little bit. In fact, I need to skew this over. I need to skew everything one square so that my squares line up nicer. 10, 20, 30, 40. 10, 20, 30, 40. 10, 20, 30, 40. And then that leaves perfect. 10, 20, 30, and 40. Throw all those in there. Cool. So that's one way to do it. The other way I was mentioning is I could use these. Like I could throw in a corner water, and they have the flat water tiles, which I could, make like this. The trick is the question always is do you have enough to kind of pull that off? Well, let's see. And I'm not sure if I have enough. I could go with this. My big question is do I have enough? There are some actually kind of rounded corner spaces. But the party will be like, can I stand there? And it kind of depends on how tough you want to be as a DM, right? Do you want to be able to stand in a little piece of island? Maybe put the island, if the hole is over here, right? So the hole is technically, if you're lining up the room, I think it's right there. So that's technically where the hole is. So we could make the dungeon tile be kind of way over here in that corner. So maybe that is the little standing piece. And actually, you know what? Let me go look at something I have in the storage room. Because I do have the Dwarven Forge Lake set. And the lake has entire pieces. I know. The microphone, you can see. It's my lake. Cave Lake. Found it. Cave Lake. The river and cave set is pretty cool, but river and cave set pretty much has all shoreside borders. What I was looking for is some of these full water pieces. And here we go. So they actually have a very large full water piece. So it's basically almost the same thing. These are just the old ones that are made out of the more, I don't know if it's ceramic or whatever. They definitely look better.
for sure. Cave Lake has some quadrant pieces, which are kind of cool. And they have some stalagmite pieces, which is super cavey. Let's see. Maybe we could combo some pieces in. I mean, who's to say maybe there wasn't some stalagmite activity in this room, right? Can always do that. So, it's like a really big Cave Lake piece right there. That's cool. I kind of like that. It doesn't give a lot away on the corners. And if I have another one that is kind of a side piece like that, that might work really well. Let's see what we got. Cave Lake was not a big set, unfortunately. It was a 4-piece. The 4-piece kind of puts, has little 4 nodules. I don't really want to do that. But we could use this piece over here. So that kind of gives a little bit of a shoreline. You see it's got a little bit of a shoreline. And what we can do is we can fill these in with some of those full pieces. And I have a few more full pieces. There we go. We can kind of make this corner super deep. And let's see. Yeah, I can kind of make a little, maybe just a little nodule or, something that's kind of on that end, right? So maybe just a little something to stand on. I don't know if there's a double corner piece that they make out of these little lake things. Doesn't look like it. I could do that. These things are always like you're in one certain piece short. That's okay. Not that big a deal. Don't want to get lost in the minutia. But I like that. That's kind of cool. So I think that's what I'll go with for this piece. All right. So this is section 7, right? So if they drop out in there, then they're going to drop into here. And there will be some debris and things that are floating in here. So I'll put like chest, crate, maybe a bench. Let's put a bench in there. That'd be fun. For what reason? Who knows? I'd always have my little boxes and bones and barrels. All right. A little bench floating over here, just kind of trashed up on the side. There we go. I have a broken barrel. Let's have a broken barrel, just kind of floating in the water. And we have a barrel bumped up over here on the corner. There's another open barrel. Just over here in the corner. There we go. Cool. This is where some of our bad guys are going to be. All right. So I ended up using some of those other pieces that I needed, and that's okay. So let's go back. Finishing touches. I always like the interior decorating and things like that. That's always kind of cool. You always kind of want to read your module to see what you did. But before I get there, there's a lot to be said for extra detail. And I'm not sure how much of me you're going to catch on this center camera because I'm going to go work over here. I'll try to work over here from the end of the table, right, so you can still see me. But what I'm going to be talking about is this water line, this water strip that I have right here that runs all the way down the table. This is supposed to be an underground tunnel. The city is built on a mountain, and the underground tunnel is kind of a river that just runs basically through the underground. So actually what I want to do is I want to give a little more, I want to give some cool detail for the players, right? I actually want to give a cave line. And you can just use the cave markers, right? And just kind of turn them inward because they're not really going to see anything on the outside. And just kind of use these like this and just, I don't need that marker anymore. Just kind of give a ragged edge. And you just make sure you have enough of these so that you can just kind of run to the end of the table on each side. I think it's these extra details. Would a player notice if you didn't do it? Probably not. Player probably wouldn't notice if you didn't do it. But there are players who notice when you do. And I think that's probably what makes, better dungeon building is when you do things that they probably wouldn't have expected you to do. And I'm not talking from a story perspective, I'm talking from a build perspective. And this really doesn't take a whole lot of time. It does take pieces, so if you don't have the pieces, it would be very hard to do. But yeah, we're just really, just any straight edge pieces. You just make sure you have a ton, which I did. Made sure and pulled these out early. Don't really need a curve. But just build that up. Because some of my players like to kind of get down and look and check out the table. And, I guess if you were to kind of lower the camera a little bit, it actually starts to look kind of cool, right? And they're going to come in on some skiffs. So, let's see, where are my boats? I have boats. I know I have boats. Oh, yeah. Trying to remember where you put everything is a big part of being a DM. Where did I put it? Boats. Where are my boats? Needing boats. Where did I put the boat? Oh, you know what? I bet you I put my boats in one of these little guys. Could be completely wrong. No, I am completely wrong. Anyway, I'll find them. I will find them, or it will dawn on me where I put them. Because goodness knows there are too many hiding spaces in here that I have probably overutilized as a collector. And I'm now like, oh great, totally forgot where my boats are. But I'll find them. They won't escape me for long. Where was I? It's like, there we go. Let's just finish this up. And yes, I'll probably have to disappear off the camera while I kind of finish up what I'm doing here. But I'll move this camera so you can kind of see where I'm going with it. And I'll try to go super fast and keep talking, because I really wanted to run the whole length of the table. Because when I hide this, this will be the first thing that they see. In fact, I might not even hide this part, or I might. Sometimes giving them that reveal is kind of cool. They like that. They like that cool factor. It's like, whoa. I think it's cool. If I think it's cool, well, I'm gonna do it. It's your DM. You can do whatever you want, right? Almost. You can almost do whatever you want. And cool. Pieces to spare. Good. I brought enough to the table. So now, let's see if I can give you guys a full look. That is the dungeon, right? So they will come in here, and they have some choices. And then there, and then the very end of the table over here is the final room, and that's that, right? So some of the details is this little area here. We want this to be kind of messed up, but we also have a challenge. And the challenge is basically they can try to jump from the boat, like right into this room. So I want to make it a little elevated. I want to make this, because it's a collapsed area, but obviously it didn't collapse into a perfect door. And if you don't make it a perfect door, then players won't automatically assume it's a perfect door. I know you hear me rummaging around over here. Sorry about that, but I'm looking for a very particular piece that is missing. I found it. Found it. These little pieces like this that are kind of rough, I like to kind of, if I can, butt them up. There we go. Something like that, right? Because if they're going to use their boat and they're going to try to jump from the boat, they can either they can land, kind of like on here, like some rubble. I want to put some rubble there. Actually, I kind of like this rubble better. That's better. And then they can kind of climb over, a little skill challenge. Or they can, bring their boat up and try to kind of jump off of the boat and into there. And now it is killing me where the boat is, because I really want the boats. you do with the boat? I don't know what I did with the boats. You know what? Just dawned on me where they might be. We'll give one look. If they're not there, we'll give up. And 1, 2, 3. Nope, and they're not there. Thought they might be in the furniture drawer. Let's see what else we have. That drawer and the art supply drawer. Neither. The mystery thickens on where the boats could be. Unless I put them with the other boats. Put them with the big boats. No, I didn't do that. And funny is I don't think I would have done that. But oh well. So that's kind of the setup of the main dungeon. Now it's really just kind of decorating it. You kind of go through the rooms and see what you put in what room. Let's see here. So the first room, narrow tunnel, strewn, broken dirt, torn clothing, the remains of some partial bones. Yay, bones! So, there we go. I have some more shoreline there. Broken away shoreline. Bones. Put some bones in there. Let's see. So this whole place was basically it was a hideout for someone. Don't have to make up details on the fly. Remains of partial bones scattered upon the floor. Lay ahead. Chamber is dark. When it's lighted, it is not cavernous but worked. And that's why we built this as a dungeon. Several bodies lie about in stages of decay. Well, good. We have bodies. I don't know if anybody bought these little corpse minis, but you can go on eBay and actually get a ton of them. Dirt cheap. And they're great. Just a little dude laying on the ground. So put a couple of bodies in the room. And I always like to add, barrel in the corner, because players will ask. Barrel. And I have boxes. Put like an empty box. Doesn't even have to be anything in it. That over there. Let's put another box next to the barrel. There we go. So there we go. Let's see. A couple of bodies. Let's do another body. I think only 2 of them rise in this room. They're C-spawn, so we'll get 2 of them to rise up and attack the party. Their bloated bodies rise up and attack. Secret door. Let's see. We do have some trap stuff. Let's see. What do we do with all the trap stuff? I do have some trap stuff. You don't always have to use everything. Swinging blades. Just trying to figure out if any of the trap stuff I have is actually going to fit into what we're looking to do. I don't know. That might be a longer conversation to have with yourself. To see if the trap stuff will actually fit with what you're trying to do. I'll figure that out later. Second room, room 2, carved stone, content somewhat odd. Rotted table and chairs, great. We have tables and chairs. So these are some things that we do have. A whole little furniture thing. We don't need those anymore. Throw those away. Well, not throw them away, but put them back in the drawer. So we have table and chairs, so let's do a table. And let's put out a couple of chairs. Let's knock that chair over. We'll leave one standing up, but we'll kind of turn it backwards. And we'll put one more over here that's knocked over. Make them kind of cockeyed.
A smashed candelabra is on the ground. Too big. Hand wave that one. And the rest of the room looks like it wants stored supplies. Okay. Once again, boxes and barrels. Old standbys. And we got a lot of them. So, boxes. So let's use this corner over here. Move this camera so you can get a better view. Get some slack on the camera there. There we go. Y'all see that? There we go. Back it up just a tad. Cool. Barrels. Another box over here. Just kind of giving it some of that ambiance. Let's see. Let's see. We have two skeletons holding long, empty mugs. Their dress appears to be that of sailors, or rather pirates. Each has a rusty saber. Pile of coins is on the table. Hey, we have coins. We do have coins. Let's put the coins there. And actually, we do have skeletons. And of course, this will be great because these skeletons are minis. And of course, they will immediately think that it's the skeletons that are going to be the immediate threat. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Either way, the surprise will come. So let's put One-Eyed Willie down here. Goonies. Put that one there. And let's see. But the crates are empty, the barrels are smashed, there are two doors exit the room, and we already have that done. Cool. Room 3. Next room. Room is dark. You can see the room is also carved from stone. That's the one with smashed candelabra. Broken bed. Broken bed. We've got beds. Don't only have broken ones. Sits in the corner. Let's put that. It'll be in this close corner. There you go. You can see that on the camera. Awesome. Broken bed. Broken bed means we probably want a nightstand. Let's put a nightstand next to it. That is really small. It's kind of hard to see. I can tilt the camera in. You can see that little bitty nightstand right next to the bed. Let's see, actually, I might be able to give you a better. Well, it's kind of hard to give a shot from that way without getting the camera in my way. A chair. I actually did put a nightstand in the write-up, huh? When I wrote it, I was like, hey, there's a nightstand. I have a chair. And let's see. I have 3 doors exiting this room. Looks like I need a door over there. So, you need one extra door. It's always good to go back and read your module. Because if you didn't, I'd have missed the door. There we go. Let's put that door right there. 3 doors exiting the room. Let's see. This one actually has a few little bug critters in it, so let's go ahead and put, some boxes. Once again, boxes, barrels in this room as well. We'll put them over to the north. That way, perhaps one of the critters is hiding over here in the north. A couple of the critters might be hiding under the bed. See how we want to play it when the time comes. Cool, done. Room 4. Room way on the end there. It is packed with mud along the walls. The floor is covered with filth. As if there was a flood here at some point. Broken furniture lies piled up in the northwestern corner. Several sconces are along the walls, but no torches in them. Very bare room.
So, we need garbage. So you can use anything for garbage. I mean, obviously we can use some of our boxes and some of our barrels, but I have like a round table, like a very small roundish table, like this. And what we'll do is we're just gonna turn it upside down. And
We have some stools and stuff, and we're just gonna take all of that and just kind of toss it, jumble it in the corner in order to simulate kind of what I was talking about.
I don't overkill it. Let's see, I have a chair here and a couple chairs.
A couple chairs in there as well. Scatter it out just a bit.
Not a big room, and why is everything in the corner? Well, flood, you know.
Water ran off at some point and drained down that way. Well, that's where everything ends up. Makes sense. Easy.
Room 5. Really big room. If I remember. No. 2. Nope, that was room 5. Huh. This is room 4. Always good to have your map. Room 4 is big and empty. We just take our junk, stick it in that corner. Room 5 is small. As long as you remember your numbering.
He's got the first one right.
Nobody's perfect. Alright. Room 5. Oh, room 5 is actually the nicest so far.
They have sconces but bear no torches. Along the south wall is a small raised dais surrounded with copper coins loosely spread about. Upon the dais is a chest. Oh, nice. Riding along the back wall is in common.
Beware those who seek treasure. This, of course, is our mimic trap. Not that any experienced player is probably going to fall for it, but you know what? Somebody's going to want to check it out. So, how do you do raised dais? Raised dais is pretty simple. All you need is just some of those flat pieces again, just some regular dungeon tile. And since we actually have, it's a 40 by 40 room,
You just take 2 flat pieces and just kind of put them right there.
and boom, it is a raised dais. You want to take a good chest. It's like a nice chest. It's a nice board. There we go. It's kind of a nice
Block chest.
I'm just gonna put it right up there, right in the middle of the room. You can see what other details did we have? We said it was clean, right? We said it was surrounded by copper coins. So we have some copper coins. We don't have a lot of copper coins. We do have some big treasure piles. We could just handle it. Maybe they're copper enough. Let's see what we got. Yeah, this will work. Yeah, actually, this will work a lot better. All right, let's step out of camera shot for just a moment. You can see my hands. Even though they look a little goldish, we really want it to be surrounded by copper coins. In that way. One of the things we can do here. This will be a good example. So, one of Dungeon Master's most helpful items in the entire world is sticky tack. Just little pieces of this little sticky tack. You can do wonders. You can get little glass pieces and stick them to the walls, make mirrors. Anything that's lopsided or kind of weird formed, just take a little sticky tack, stick it right on the bottom of the chest, and just press that, and now the chest is sitting on the copper pieces. Magic. Magic like no other. Love it. That looks great. Mimic trap. That's for kicks and giggles. Even though it's not really in the description, I always like to have just kind of stuff around the room. There's one barrel over there, and I don't know if
2 barrels just in the corner.
Just for looks.
A little extra something. Alrighty. Room 5. Room 4 was the big room with all the clutter. So that kind of brings us to room 6. Room with a hole in the ground. Room with a hole in the ground. This room is also carved. You notice that its walls and floors are wet. Looking closely, you can see the water is trickling down the northern and southern wall, running across the ground until it falls through a hole. The water is not deep, only making the floor slick with mud and slime. Well, here is an instance where we could use some of like these little tiles if we wanted to. We can kind of make use of it. Maybe at least just in the middle. Let's see what it looks like. Just kind of around here. Maybe. What am I looking for? I need a rounded piece. Another rounded piece will be good. There we go. Something like that. Maybe another rounded piece. Let's just make it. There we go. That's kind of cool. Just so you get the idea that there's runoff. It's recessed and things are running in that direction. Close enough for government work. I like it. Put these away. And that room is very simple. Of course, spice it up a little bit. Let's just put maybe some barrels in the corners. These barrels didn't get caught in the runoff, so you just put a couple of barrels in the corner just to add to some of the mystery. Maybe put one barrel. Let's put one barrel right there. And see if they get real weird. Because in PCs, they get weird. And yeah, why don't we go ahead and put, let's see, do I have a chair? Yeah, let's do that. Put a couple chairs in the room. It's kind of knocked over, ruined. And let's put a bar stool and nightstand like over here in the corner. The nightstand's still standing. Bar stool is kind of knocked over. There we go. Whatever that is. Awesome. Last room. This is jumping through the hole in the ground. I think we already kind of got this one set. So the room is deep, 7-foot drop, and it's filled with water, so it'll be about 3 feet of water. Several boxes and crates float in the water, as do other loose pieces of wood. A skeleton can be seen hanging on to what might have been a door as it bounces against the wall. Oh, cool. So I do happen to have a door that at one point broke off of something. So I kept it. And now I'm thinking it's a good thing I did. And I have some of these like skeletons that have like really thin bases. So we'll take this door and just kind of lay it there. We'll take the skeleton, just going to kind of lay him on the door. So I'll get that little skeleton there, laying on the door. Hanging on to what might have been a door as it bounces against the wall. It appears to be holding onto a piece of cloth it has under its body. The cloth, however, looks to be in remarkable shape. Nice. We'll just leave that one for the gym. So, that looks like that's about it. I think I got everything here together. And this has basically been another D&D build. I'll give you a quick flyover real quick. And trust me, it's killing me. I can't find the boats. I wish I could find them at the moment, but don't know where those little guys went off to. So I just kind of fly through, opening room. They have the trap. Kind of a little pirate gambling room. A little bedroom. The mimic trap. The water runoff room, which is kind of a prelude to water kind of going this direction. It's got the hole in the floor, and then of course our final part where they drop in here to see what's going on. And basically in this episode you have some Lacedons who are kind of causing the problem, and the Lacedons will kind of be in this back room. But there's some other critters that kind of, invade these little underwater areas. But it'll definitely be the Lacedons that were the problem. And once I take care of the Lacedons, then the problem goes away. So that's it.
That is the dungeon build. So, kind of one more look at the kind of screen. You can kind of see how what's where we started, and you can kind of see how we finished. Again, when you make a map and you're trying to build, don't get too frustrated trying to fit, you know, those square pegs in round holes, because there's always a little skew. So big tip right there. Definitely hope you check it out. It's actually, by the time you see this, you know, you can go back and watch the episode, because we're actually going to play the episode before I stream this, so that players don't actually get to watch and see it all set up. But thanks for joining us. This is Shadows of Dawn. You know, please like and follow the channel. You can check us out on YouTube. You can check the Facebook page. From the Facebook page, you can get to the Figma site, which is basically the Campaign World content. You know, feel free to check it out, have fun, comment on the Facebook page, check out our merch store. We thank everybody who's watching, and it's much appreciated. You guys have a great one. You guys all take care.